back on Gerty Road. Back again, that Wednesday mood. It is Wednesday, isn't it? Please somebody tell me it is Wednesday, otherwise I made a right knob of myself, haven't I really? For a change. So, I've been meaning to do this for a while. I'm hoping a lot of you know who this lad is. Here, there you go. I've moved you up, can you see? So this chap here is called Ren, and he is a social media superstar. And if you go on my back catalogue, I've actually done quite a few different social media emerging talents and reacted to it. I think my latest was, it wasn't that latest actually, it was like a year or so ago, over a year ago. I did Tom McDonald. If you're on social media, you must know Tom McDonald, the American chap. And I've also done Adam Calhoun and that other lad, I can't think what his name is now. Anyway, they've sort of made their names off of social media rather than going through the music industry. Now, we've got our own British version of this, many of them actually, but one that is really trending highly at the moment and has been for a long time is this chap here called Ren. Now, Ren used to busk around Brighton up until a few years ago, and he's got quite a lot of similarities of going through things that I've recently just gone through. Yeah, a lot differently, but similar, if you know what I mean. So this young lad here, he did, to start with, he's got lupus, and he's got some sort of autoimmune disease, which is lupus-like or lupus. And he can't get treated in this country. He goes to Canada to get treatment, and he's been over in Canada for about a year and a half getting treatment for this condition he's got. But he is a musical genius. The lad here, I don't know how old he is, because when you're my age, everybody's young. Is he about 30? He may even be younger than that. The guy is a genius. He is a magnificent genius. Just get on YouTube or even TikTok. He's all over the place. He's on Instagram. He's everywhere you go. He's on X as well. And just put in Ren, R-E-N, and he'll come up with all his music. All his songs are written by himself. They're arranged by himself. He plays the guitar brilliantly. I was going to say Jimi Hendrix-esque. But along those lines, it's just an all-round little genius. I would say that a lot of his songs are kind of like a contemporary version of The Wall by Pink Floyd. You know how Pink Floyd was singing about their era and their experiences in post-war Britain, growing up with no fathers, blah-de-bleeding blah, getting into the music industry and being ripped off really and being treated really badly, and got onto narcotics and all sorts of stuff just to keep them performing. That's basically the premise of The Wall, isn't it? Let's have it right. And his songs sort of go along his life and what he's been through, especially through this awful, like he said, he's been ill most of his life. But I sort of see him as a mixture of all those people, a bit of like a modern Mozart, or maybe because of his chronic ill health, I would say something like a bit Beethoven-y or Bach. You know, one of them couldn't see and the other one couldn't hear. Do you get me? But they were brilliant. They were bleeding geniuses. So we'll jump in and see what's going on with Ren, because there is a big thing going on, a big interweb beef, okay, on predominantly YouTube, but on other social media platforms as well, concerning this chap here and some chap called Kujo, who literally nobody had heard of. Everyone had heard of Ren, nobody had heard of Kujo. But guess what? We have all heard of Kujo, because Kujo is a pain in the bleeding arse. Kujo is a little mover. He's a little grifter. And you're going to hear what's happened. Come on, Ren, darling. You tell your Auntie Gert what that rotten bleeding old Kujo's been doing to you, boy. Because I'll give him what for. When I see him next, there'll be bleeding trouble. Putting up with that, it's disgusting. Right, go on, darling. Tell Auntie Gert.
It's a video that was very close to me. It's a video that told my story about my health. Mm-hmm. It's a video that told the story of many other people who have been gaslit by the medical community.
Exactly.
It's a story of greed in the music industry, ironically, funnily enough. Oh. It's also a song that I poured tens of thousands of pounds into for a music video, for promotion. It was also the leading title of the only #1 album that I've got, so I was very, very proud of it.
Yeah.
And we'll no longer have that song, guys. And I want to go into the reasons why. Also, I do recommend sticking around to the end of this video because I've got a very exciting announcement about all of this that relates to all of this right at the end. People who have been following me for a while, they'll know the sort of person I am, they know the principles that I have, and they'll know how I treat other independent artists.
Very well, actually.
So they'll know why it was so important for me to have to make this video. And I want this to be as unbiased as possible. Obviously, I'm emotionally affected by it, and that might leak in, right? But I want to share entire clips of these
I know, darling, you can share, but can I just excuse myself? Yeah, if you heard the noise, that was me just getting a drink of water because it's quite a long, convoluted tale, this, so I just thought I'd get a drink of water. And I got one of their mixture taps. So I was trying to do it on the sly, hoping you wouldn't hear, but when I put the mixture tap on, it was boiling hot the water. So there's a little bit of context for you, so I've had to run it to get some cold water. Anyway, so here we go. Right, where are we, Ren? Yeah, basically, they've turned you over. So this lad here, cut to the chase, darling. He's a darling, isn't he? Isn't he cute? He's a sweet little lad. And the talent of this boy is absolutely unique and genius. You can see he's intelligent. You've only got to look at his eyes. I always believe the eyes are the window to your soul, and you can always tell a lot by the person's eyes. I've done it all my life. I've never been wrong. So, he bought a sample of this bleeding character called Kujo, who runs some cyber web bleeding load of old hooey called Kujo Beats that nobody had heard of. He paid fair and square for it, cost him a few grand. And it was a sample that he played at the beginning of his most popular and most well-known song, Sick Boy. So it's Sick, and then B-O-I, Boy. Talking about it's genius. It's a work of absolute marvellousness. And he bought this beat for a few £1,000s to play at the beginning of Sick Boy. He bought it fair and square off Kujo, and it was for a lifetime. So he paid so many thousands for it. He could use it as much as he wanted. Blah-de-bleeding blah. And I think they also factored in that if Sick Boy, the record, took off, Kujo Beats would get a percentage like 12% of the revenue or whatever. Because these are, where it's not done by a music industry anymore through a record label, it kind of filters through and drip through from like Spotify and different downloading online things. You know what I'm about, do you? So no one goes out and buys records anymore. They download them, don't they? Like, right, I've got there in the end, Gert. So, you think, why are you telling me this? Well, because it turned out that Kujo didn't own the rights to the piece of music that he flogged to Ren, who was absolutely broke at the time. He was busking. And what little money he had, he paid Kujo for this little sample that he could use on this Sick Boy. Turns out it was a Bulgarian peasant choir who, whilst they were Bulgarian and maybe whatever they were with it as women, or they sound more like women, in Bulgaria, they had their bleeding ear to the wall. They knew that somebody had used their a bit of their music, a bit of their choral singing. It's basically just them singing. There's no music in it. It's their voices, their vocalisations. And they got onto Ren and said, "Excuse me, you're using a sample of our music. Now, we got the copyright to that music and you ain't, so we want some of your money." And Ren said, "But I bought it fair and square off Kujo Beats." And they said, "Well, we don't care about Kujo Beats. He hasn't got the right to it either." The guy, this Kujo, is a complete maniac. And I've dealt with maniacs. So anyway, long story short, he wakes up one day, his number one song, Sick Boy, was trending at number one in all the charts in the UK, the streaming platforms. He woke up one day, YouTube had a copyright strike him for Sick Boy and took it down. Kujo Beats had put in a copyright strike against him because it was his bit of music. And where it had took off and become number one, he didn't think, Mr. Kujo, that it was very fair that this young man was making a load of money off of something that he bought fair and square off Kujo Beats. Kujo Beats wanted more. Kujo Beats was like, no, that's not fair. We want a bigger cut of the cake. And it's like the lad said, and I totally agree with him, if you went and bought a picture painting or something for a tenner, and then sort of 10 years from now, that painting took off, or that artist took off and became like the next David Hockney or Tracy Emin or something, and that piece of art that you bought for a tenner then becomes worth like £250,000 or something, It's no good the original person that sold it you for a tenner, like years later, coming back and going, excuse me, that has now gone up. It's appreciated in value, and I want a cut of your thing. They bought it fair and square. So that's basically where we are with it. And this Kujo is a complete anus. He really is. Right, come on, darling.
There can be no doubt. Also, if Kujo and his girlfriend want to share any more screenshots of either of those conversations, I encourage them to, because I believe that this should all be public knowledge, so there can be no doubt. Rather than taking people's words from it, I would like them just to see transparently what has happened here. To give
I'm totally with him on that, because having gone through similar sort of machinations on social media, you do try to keep what's going on behind the scenes private. You do really do that for a long time. You try and carry on acting as if what's going on off screen, but we're not big industries, we're little people. You know, we're just living normal lives like you guys. We've got like families, things to do, work, everything, stuff to do, timetables to keep. So we're sort of always playing catch up with people like Kujo that have got nothing better to do with their days than sit there on their computer and go through stuff and moan and check on this and copyright strike you for that, and then put in something else about you and complain. And so he was, what with his chronic illness and actually being talented and being a bit of a genius and forever producing, he was always producing content. He didn't realise what was going on. He didn't actually catch up with any of it. The first he actually knew of it was, as I say, when he woke up one day and a YouTuber took it down because it had been copyright struck. I don't know whether it's copyright struck on TikTok. I don't think TikTok play that game, and nor do X. They literally don't care. I think you actually have to send them the charter of your copyright before they remove something. Yeah, I think YouTube is his biggest earner, maybe. But to be fair, I found him... no, I didn't. I found him on YouTube, but I've watched him a lot more on TikTok. He's very compelling. He's kind of fascinating. He's very interesting. His lyrics are... Yeah, he sings them, but they're like so many of brilliant lyricists. They also poetry. So... yeah, and he's just heartbroken because he cannot understand why they're doing this to him. Like he said, he's not a well lad anyway. He's had, I think he's got 3 different things wrong with him, all of them are chronic, that he's been trying to manage, and he's been trying to use what money he's got from his genius to find a cure so he can live a better life because he's only young. Come on, Red baby. Talk to Auntie Gerty. Oh, we're going to buff. Oh, we're buffing. We're buffing. I'm still plugging away at that old bleed laptop that I dropped. I've got another one, but it's just, I can't, you know what I mean? There's not enough hours in the day for me. And I've still got that garden that absolutely hates me, and I hate it. It's a mutual standoff at the moment. So basically, that's the story. And then Kujo was writing all shit in the comments. Kujo didn't ring him. Kujo didn't message him. Kujo didn't bother contacting him. Or even getting his lawyer to contact him. He was just writing shit about him, like shit, what's it, shit posting basically. And yeah, it's not fair. I don't know where you guys stand, but when you click off here, and if Alice sings from New York in the great US of A, one of my commentators has been here for like ever, like me. I don't know whether you've heard of Ren, darling, or any of you people out there have heard of Ren, but do put him in there. Let's give him some likes. Let's give him some... what's it in the algorithms, because he gets enough anyway, he gets millions, but let's give him some more, eh? You'll love his lyrics. He does one particularly heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking song about DV. Is it called Vera? Something Vera. Can't think what it's called, but it's about a woman that's had her whole life of DV. It reminds me very much of Tracy Chapman. Do you remember Tracy Chapman? That same gritty, edgy, dark, well, the reality of life that people do actually go through this. And it's absolutely brilliant. It's genius. He's a little genius, and we should be taking good care of him. And I'm glad he's gone to Canada instead of letting the National Health bleed ruin his life. Anyway, with that, I'll love you and leave you. I think I've said enough. I've probably said too much. Anyway, bye-bye now.